Please help me welcome our speaker. We have Chris Paxton. Chris is the owner and senior developer of D3 Training Solutions. She's also a Lectora wizard, so we're in very good hands. Chris, the session is all yours. Make sure you
Unmute. There we go. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Um, this session, again, empowering innovation. Basically, we're going to show you how to save and reuse custom content, streamlining your workflow, ensuring consistency. That's huge, and hopefully freeing up some more time to be more creative with our, course development. So, again, a little about me. My preferred name is Chris. I'm in my mid 50s. My pronouns are she and her. I am the CEO and founder. I want to thank eLearning, along with giving a special shout out to all the developers of Lectora, because you may or may not know, but it actually celebrated its 25th anniversary last summer. And I have been using Lectora since 2004, and I don't want to do the math there because then it makes me feel old. So, but it has been an absolutely amazing ride. Oh, and my contact information if you want to reach out. Yes, belated birthday, exactly. Just a little about D3. We have designed, developed, and delivered the 3Ds training since 1998. We do have a YouTube channel of Lectora's how-to tips and tricks, different videos. And these are really just basically 5 minute or less videos that basically come from our book, Lectora by eLearning. And this, it says 2022 edition, and people are like, are you coming up with a new one? And I'm like, no, there really hasn't been that many changes yet to update, the entire book. So this completely works. Would love for you to subscribe. And Kevin, I love your comment. 2004 was like 5 years ago. Exactly. That is exactly right. We are also proud, D3 Training Solution, to be a woman-owned business, a woman-owned diverse and small business certified by the state of Oklahoma, in addition to SBA. Actually, I need to update because we're no longer pending for women-owned with SBA, and we are HubZone certified if you need those certifications to get stuff. We also create custom training for all your specific business needs, and we're very excited. I feel like I can retire now because it's the trifecta. But we this past year, and hopefully it'll have to start again this year, we won the Australia's LearnX Diamond Award, the UK Learning Excellence, and the US Brandon Hall Bronze Awards for a course actually developed 100% accessible and using Lectora and Scenario VR. Now, had a great question. Where can I buy the book? This will help us get started. Yes, I will can try it at the end, but it actually is available on Amazon. So that was one of my lifetime goals. Journalism undergrad was to be able to have a book out on Amazon. And everybody's like, oh, I'll buy it. And I'm like, um, it's not a book that you'd probably enjoy reading unless you're in our field. So yes, please go out to Amazon and purchase. And it's actual hard copy book, which I have behind me right there, or there's an EPUB book. So we'll continue on. But before we get started, just make sure, because last time we did a webinar, people were like, well, what exactly is Lectora? And I'm like, I didn't go into that. So Lectora is by eLearning, and it is a rapid development authoring tool that lets you create engaging, interactive e-learning courses without programming knowledge. Basically, and this quote came from one of the original developers, but I love it. Lectora is a Ferrari of all authoring tools. It is fun to drive, and there truly is no limit to where you can go with it. It is available as a desktop application for Windows users or online for Mac, Linux, and Windows, sorry about that, users. And with Lectora, you can create courses that, of course, include text, graphics, animation, audio, video, screen simulations, interactions, branching questions, anything. And I always kind of joke that I want to stand on my rooftop, and again, I live in the country, so no one would hear me, and tell everybody that it can do anything in like all caps and bold. Because it truly can. Lectora helps you or allows you to create mobile responsive content that can be viewed on all the different devices. You can also create accessible content. And as someone who uses the big three tools out there. I will tell you from my opinion, and again, I've been in this field a long time. It is the easiest, I find it is the easiest to create a WCAG, which is that Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, double A or even triple A if you needed it, course that will pass a DHS trusted tester because it was truly designed really for that. Once you finish your course developing, you can publish it, whether Lectora or online, to your HTML5 executable, SCORM, AICC, HTML, you name it. And with Lectora, you also get access to ReviewLink, which is the online review and revision management system included in Lectora, and the asset library. And for those who are kind of just been in the field the last 10 years, you may be thinking, okay, asset library, what's the big deal? We're talking 120 million assets. And for those who've been in the field a little longer, back in like '04, or let's see, I got in the field in '98. If we needed assets for training, we had to contact the marketing department. And we would actually, all we had were pictures. There wasn't anything dedicated to training. So this is dedicated to us. There's audio, there's video, there's images, there's um, JPEG, you name it. Everything is out there. Icons available for us, and it's included with your license. So absolutely love that. I could talk about that a lot too. So, okay, get back on topic. Now, who cares about library objects? Well, I've been a team of one and on a team of five, and then on, of course, much larger teams. And currently, I really kind of fit all three of these. But no matter what size your team is on, we are always tasked with producing more and more and more and doing it faster and faster. So, Casey has a poll question for us. How often, give her a moment to get that out. Perfect. How often do you feel the need to increase your productivity or speed at work? Every day, a few times a week, occasionally, never. I am quite jealous if it is never. And then, do you currently use Lectora's library objects? Let's see. Okay, great question. I'll go ahead and comment on it while I finish. They were at another, well, anyone can read it. So Adobe Captivate webinar yesterday inquired about Lectora. Half the audience had never heard of the platform. One idea, LDX or Express, the new 3D integration was really good. Others commented it was stuck in the 2000s. I will say most people that make those comments probably haven't used Lectora. They're just going off rumors. When I talk to developers, I ask them and they say their comment, I'm like, well, when was the last time you opened it or used it? And they're like, never, it's just what I heard. Or their comment is, oh, I only use Storyline or I only use Captivate. And if you looked at my computer, you will see I've got all three on my machine. So I use all three of them. Um, you can do anything with Lectora. Okay. Now, does that mean I can walk in off the street and use it? You're probably going to want to, and I have to say this, take a class because I teach some of the classes or get the book. Um, but you can truly do anything and you're not limited. Whereas there are some of the other tools that if I want to pass a DHS trusted tester, I couldn't, or I could, but not a true DHS trusted tester. There's a lot of people like, oh yeah, we're WCAG. And I'm like, yeah, no, you're not. Um, and if I to do it, it takes longer. It takes more clicks. It's just not as integrated. I love this comment. Thank you, Marie. Comes more 508 compliant, exactly over Storyline. Using it since version 2. Oh, we need to connect. Also use Storyline, by the way, me too. Stronger builds to meet 508. Always go to Lectora. Completely agree. And same here. Like I said, I've got licenses to all three active on my machine. But if I have to build 508, this is where I'm going. So thank you. And let's see, a couple questions. The reason I asked, so we've got can we share the poll? No, I guess you already did. So every day, perfect, occasionally perfect. And then to use the library objects, I've gotten 47% at yes and 53 at no. And during a recent, very, very, very informal poll of Lectora users, 40% actually say they used library objects and used them often, where the majority, 60%, said they didn't use them. So, what I have found from talking with the users is that a lot of times we don't use it because we don't realize how amazing it can be. And this is really one of my favorite things. So, what I'm going to show you today is again, what are library objects? We're going to do a show and tell and hopefully get you excited to all the different ways you can use it. And we're going to explore the library objects, and again, show how to use it, where to find more library objects, and how we can share them with each other. I know there's some things we may not be able to share because, intellectual property, but some things we definitely can. And some best practices, in my opinion, for library objects, because I have made a mess of myself sometimes with my library objects just because my lack of organization. So let's go ahead and continue. For those again who've ever chatted with me, and I think I've already said this about Lectora, they know I love library objects. I always talk about how this is one of my favorite things. And Daryl says I use them every day. Yes, me too. In fact, once or twice a month, because I'm a trusted consultant with Interactive Advantage Corporation, which is one of the official training providers for Lectora, we host a Getting Started with Lectora session. And in that free 1 hour session, I not only introduce you to the Lectora interface and where everything is, but I quickly build an e-learning course about library objects. And that's where that screenshot there comes from. So, the reason I love them so much is they allow me to make more efficient use of my time and development because I am a contractor. So, time really is money. Plus, I want to make sure I'm consistent and good for my people. And it allows me to reuse elements or objects that I or maybe someone else has previously developed, saving me time and again, ensuring that consistency in my design. So, what can Lectora object be? Anything. And I say that word a lot with Lectora. It can be static items like your buttons, your images, your text. It can be very interactive, quizzes, activities, interactions, media, audio, live, video, and I'll show you how I use some of these in a bit. Layouts, design, pages, sections, chapters. You could have a whole course as a library object. It also includes, you could say things to some of your different coding. I am not a coding expert. As far as JavaScript, HTML, CSS, I know enough to tweak it, but to write from scratch, no. And so I can save all that stuff and I don't have to sit there because, again, I mentioned I'm 56. My memory is not quite like it was when I was younger. I don't want to have to remember, wait, what class did I build that in and go and have to find it and open it? And oh, wait, what page was it on? Wait, that's not it. And I spend all this time when I can just use a library object. I can just go to it and find it. It's huge. Okay, so how do we create them? I like to think of it in 3 easy steps. You will also get a copy of this PowerPoint as a PDF in a follow-up email. So don't worry about screenshotting or writing things down unless you really want to, except maybe my show and tell that it won't be in there. So you simply select the object you want to save. You hold down your control key, just like you would in any Explorer window, to select multiple objects. You right click, you save it as a library object. And I mention this because this is where to me it gets the most challenging, making sure you name it something that you can remember later. And I'll give you more examples of that in a moment. Now, great question came in. You mentioned that objects can come from anyone. Is there an opt-in, opt-out process for this? Are objects automatically? No, they are not. I'm going to show you. You have to add them to the database, which is why right now there's only probably 3 or 4 out there because we just created the database in November, I think it was, for DevLearn. And yeah, I completely get that. So, and there's a lot you're going to see from my page. There's a lot I haven't shared yet because I need to go through them myself to figure out, can I share them? So, oh, I already went over that. Okay, so we are now going to get to the show and tell portion of exploring library objects in Lectora. So I'm going to show you some different samples. And again, this is just a reminder for me. So let me go over here to Lectora. So when you open Lectora, this is obviously what it normally looks like. I usually keep this little checked because I don't, that's just an extra click and every click is time. So, but I brought that up. So that is what you would see. So if we are looking, these are some older courses. I'm going to show you some more current ones here in a moment. But this is a course we did, I did for the GSA, the government. And in this particular course, there is this glossary. Oh, this glossary was long and the programming wasn't necessarily fun because I needed these buttons to go to here, and it wasn't something I wanted to recreate each time. And I think there were three, well, yeah, this is course three. So there's three versions of here for the GSA, and then I did one for the FAI using very much the same technique. So I had to duplicate this a lot. And rather than go back and open it each time, and let me show you how it would work, just so you can see. So I could select on, let's select on ours. It like takes me down and highlights that area. So, I mean, not rocket science, but more programming than I'm going to have to do over and over again. So let me go back to edit here. So what I could do is I could right click on this, save as a library object, and save it as a glossary, and then reuse it over and over. And I'll show you how that works in a moment. The same is true with, so we can see again how I did use it under resources. Oh wait, no, it was under glossary. So here it is again. I saved it as a library object. I just had to change the colors. Easy peasy. And I didn't have to recreate. Now I had to add in all the text blocks because a lot of them were different, but a lot of them really were the same. So that was a huge time saver. Okay, then let me look at my note to see what I want to show. Just going to go to a blank. Let's create a new project. And I'm just going to create a blank page. It's going to ask me if I want to save. Nope, it didn't. Okay, so what can we do with these library objects? So let's go over here to my library. And I will talk about the naming here in a moment. Right now, this is truly just show and tell. We go over, I'm going to go learning objects here. So let's say I created a fun activity or something, and well, actually, do I have the glossary back in there? No, I didn't. But one of the things I always do is, of course, our clients have storyboards or style guides. And granted, there's lots of ways you can set Lectora up so it automatically knows your images, but I work with different clients all the time. So one of the things I usually do is here is a color palette for a client. And so I may want to add that to the course. So rather than go and find it, I could have it as a library object. Okay, I'm going to delete that. Let me look at my dev notes because this is one of the huge things I do. I've started doing, instead of just adding the actual colors, I will add myself notes like this. So we can see there. I keep it up at the top. This is always at that master level, that upper level, like master pages in PowerPoint. We call it the parent level at the top. And so now anytime I add additional pages to it, actually, no, I don't want it at the master level right now. But now if I'm on additional pages, let's say this was up here though, real quick, it is on every single page. So if I need to match a color, it's right there handy. I mean, the hex codes are there, but I can use the paintbrush. Plus, if I need to make sure my XY coordinates are the same each time, yes, I have all kinds of scrap paper around me. I could write it down and go back and forth, or I've got all my XY coordinates along with the width and height right here. So that way it's consistent throughout the whole thing. Okay. To me, huge time saver. I'm going to go ahead and delete that one. Let's see. Um, Here is one. This one, some of the background I had to remove it. Okay, so in this particular course, we were trying to do a cartoon. Oh, yeah, that didn't have the client name. So if I go into run here, okay, we can see here's how it goes. We've got this here for the visual. Everything was kind of this puzzle. And creating puzzle pieces, I'm not a graphic artist, but I've reused this quite a bit. So it's to select the number. So if I select, well, it looks like I'm solving a puzzle. Oops, I'm not clicking completely there. until it does reveals and so forth like that. Okay, so I can still use those puzzle pieces with any of my horizontal images. Let's see, was that? I don't know why I say that one. This one was really fun. So in this particular activity, and once we built this, I've reused this quite a bit. So they're crime solvers trying to figure out what the mystery is, and you get to pick your character. So you can be Misty Manhunter or Sam Sleuth. And let's say okay. And oh, who did I pick? I'll pick her. Okay. So now we can see the character cutout looks a little different. And so they would listen to the audio. This was in the middle of tweaking it. I'm still building this one. And then they're going to listen and actually go through and answer, was it correct or what? How did you and they go through and they can respond, and then it gives the feedback kind of at the very end. So, who opened the cash register? What did they do? And so forth. So that was a really fun one. Let's go back to edit. You'll have questions. How is it open text questions scored, evaluated? Great question. This particular case, it wasn't scored. This was completely open. And so it basically depended on how they answered. It gave them the feedback. So they're like, yes, that was correct, or no, it wasn't. And I can actually go back. And so here's my answers. And so they would either get a pop-up, we're trying to do that cartoon theme. So it basically either showed the yes, just interaction, exactly. Showing yes if it was correct, no if it was wrong. It showed what their response was, because I'm a big believer in when they type stuff in, they need to see exactly what they typed compared to what the answer is. Otherwise, as humans, we're like, yeah, that's basically what I said. But if I can compare the two, I'll be like, oh, well, yeah, that's not exactly right. So it showed their responses and then what the correct answer was. So great question. Thank you, because I didn't show that part. Let's see. Trying to remember. Oh, this was fun. Just because, again, I'm not a graphic artist, but I like the way we did the bouncing and the colors, and to show that it was a full pathway. And it's something I've used kind of very similar throughout, just kind of tweaking a little bit for different projects, but I don't have to recreate it all. There's another one we did, and this was for it's not, you can tell the ones that are a little more maybe 508. So it says which ones, and we wanted them, once they answered, the next question would respond. Okay. And I'm not playing the audio. Okay. I'm going to go back and do, when we think about accessibility, oh, here's another one real quick. I keep showing real quick that I do, because there's a lot of management stuff that likes to use this graphic. And so we just turned it in to where, again, I can get the responses through. And I use that and tweak it a lot too. There's a video with pop-up question. Oh, that one that's true, because that's a Lectora online one. That one actually is in the library that we're going to share. I don't remember what this is. Oh, and this is, again, a very similar kind of click and reveal type of thing. Now, do I have my 508 stuff in there? Nope. So let's go up. So there's several things, and this is where I've got to go through and try to figure out what I can share and what I can't. This one, again, it's built, has a question, this way, and how do you make, these things 508 compliant? So it's kind of, again, just putting multiple things. There's the question, the choice of the answers, and they could hit submit. And I don't know why that cleared out. There is another one. Oh, yes, there was something I wanted to open, actually. Project samples 2. I'm going to say nope. This is from the sample that we won all the awards for. But if I look, so like there's always this directions that we have, so they can either play or continue, and it walks them through, which they, of course, can skip. Um, but let's go through. Was it this one? Yeah. This looks like a hotspot. And for those of us who deal with accessibility, we know hotspots cannot be accessible. So basically, click on which one, and I'm going to make sure I get it wrong. So I'm going to hit submit. It's like, okay, there's a hint if I want. Both answers start with an S. So I'm going to say seatbelt and snow. Oh, okay, maybe try again. Seatbelt and speed. Sorry, maybe if I looked closer. Okay, that's right. So this looks like a hotspot question, but if we look at it behind the scenes within Lectora, it is actually a multiple choice question. And it was built that way so that when the screen reader sees it, it's going to know to treat it as a multiple choice. And so it works with my screen readers 100%. Okay, and this one I've got to clean up a bit um, to be able to share it just because actually I need to check with my client too. But we can also see there's the words in there so that, again, it works with the accessibility aspect of it. Okay, I got to check my time there. Okay, any questions? All right. Okay, then, so all this can help with everything. Let me go back and check my notes, see if I showed off everything. So, oh, this other one I think is huge. So I'm going to create another new project real quick. When I work with clients, especially when they're relatively new, a lot of times I will use different images. I may think it's okay, or it's just kind of for a placeholder. And even though in my description to them, something will say, this is just a placeholder, not, I haven't gone through and defined the images you want, or we're still working on those. Someone will always respond, oh, you're not going to use that picture. Oh, what are we doing? And so what I have started doing, and I've got, let's go over here to my library. There's a couple dev tools for developer tools that I always use. Actually, let's go back to placeholders first. I have a placeholder for a playing video, audio, a note that I'm going to say, hey, this is just how it looks. And I always do bright yellow because very rarely do I use it. So it kind of stands out. And then for images, I'm a journalism undergrad. And so in journalism, magazines, things like that, newspaper, we always, to describe an image, is always a gray box with an X through it. If I put this up and tell them, oh, this represents an image, it eliminates a lot of that. Oh, well, that's not the image you're actually using, are you? Because a lot of times, especially if I'm just creating templates and doing designs, I want to show them kind of what it's going to look like, but not have to talk about the image. So I am huge on these placeholders. The other thing I do a lot of is, oh, let me go back. Hang on. I can open that one. Is when testing items. I'm going to come back over here. A couple of things I do for my clients is all my clients know wherever their logo is, I'm going to have a hidden menu because I don't know about you all. If we shut down a class and we need to go down and test it, whether it's in the LMS or if it's in any other tool, if it's locked down, I don't have to go through next, next, next. Just get me to where it needs to go. So in this particular case, I'm going to hit the logo. You can see, notice how my cursor changes. When I do, this is now a password. And I know that happens to be the password for this one, who is the director. And now I can see what is built into this. In this case, it's one assignable unit, but it would be the entire course. And I can actually jump to those specific pages, okay, saving a ton of time. The other thing, scroll down to this one. Oh, there it is, UWP, is very, very similar in this case. I'm going to go edit, and I'm going to go to my library, and we always add so there was that group hidden table of contents with password. Um, this is one, there it goes. Okay, so in my courses, especially when it's, again, kind of that final before we go live into production, but they've locked it down. Some clients really want to see it after it's locked down. And I keep these in red. I call this developer temp items. Notice it's in all caps, so I know I can find it easy. I can go through now, and here is the menu for everything that's in that course. Here's what tells me what page I'm on in case they tell me what page. Let's say I'm going through it and I don't want to have to shut it down and restart it. I've got a button here that will reset all variables. Whew. And I can do that with one single button instead of stopping and restarting it. Okay, so great questions are coming in, and that is our next area. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that and go back to my PowerPoint. So you kind of hopefully saw an idea of how they can be used and maybe why they use them. Again, it's consistency across all the courses. I can ensure that I'm sticking with that brand adherence with custom templates and using library objects. Okay, I now have efficiency in development, saving time by reusing interactive elements that I use a lot. Also reduces design errors by using, again, these pre-tested things, and helps with our consistency for our end users because they like some consistency in their life. And I now have the ability to collaborate and share. So great question just came in. How do we access these tools when using Lectora Online? I'm going to show you. We can share these library objects across different teams. If you're using Lectora Online, you can share them within your own team. And then you can also search for pre-built objects, things like that. If you're using, like Daryl, I'm going to pick on you. I've worked with Daryl off and on for many years. And there's times that he and Christine, another developer, and some other people, we want to share some stuff. And a lot of times it's just easier to share it as a library object. And I prefer desktop. I think Daryl does too. Mine is because I'm rural. And if it's raining and my internet isn't working because we use satellite, I don't want to have to not be able to work. So I can work no matter what. But I save it as a library object. Oh, mostly LO lately. Perfect, they go between the two, and we can share library objects and things between each other. So the question came in, where do we find these tools? Well, I'm so glad you asked. There's a couple of things you can do. You can search for pre-built objects or templates within some of them are built into Lectora Online and Lectora Desktop. If there's certain things you like, I don't use a lot of the templates. I build my own, but I will go out and look at the coding. It's like, ooh, I like how that's done. And I will save that as a library object so I can use it in my own course. Um, if the items are shared, which I'm going to show you here in a moment, a community where we're sharing items. And then again, really in past courses. Okay, so that's kind of how you can find the stuff. We kind of have pictures here. I'm going to give you the link. You will put your email address in, your name, your company. I prefer it to remember me just because I have to put password in anyway here in a minute. You will upload your files. And right now there's actually, you'll click library objects and you're actually going to go in twice because then it's going to say library objects desktop, library objects Lectora Online. And we just set that up this morning because I realized the file types are slightly different. I just wasn't thinking. So far, what has been in there is I look on here, we can see that's AWO, and that is a desktop Lectora library object. WWO will be what you'll look for a online library object. But again, if I don't have the online version and I need the desktop or vice versa, I can send them back and forth between the two using the PKG fact file type. And again, I'll show you. Perfect. Thank you, Daryl. Daryl just shared a link with us for this. The other thing that you can also keep in mind is that, sorry, I've got a fly in here, is that you can definitely use them all. And go back and forth between each other. Now, you may think, well, I don't have Lectora Online. I only have desktop, or I only have desktop. I don't have Lectora, vice versa. If you have one version of Lectora, you have them both. Now, your IT department may not want you to install it on your machine, but that's between you and them. So where do I find this? And again, this is going to come out in the PowerPoint, or we could probably copy and paste it here in a minute. But there's a community you'll need to download these instructions Yes, please. Thank you. Download these instructions to kind of walk you through. I wasn't going to recreate them since there's already instructions on how to do it. There's also another video that Josh Blaggy and Dominique created. It's been a little bit, but they show you some beautiful library objects, and you'll actually see samples of those in this, go back, in this particular folder. And they're adding more because, again, that screenshot's kind of old. So, what are some best practices to this? Well, organizing objects in my mind for easier access and future use. To me, this is huge as after a while, you will accumulate a lot. I have over, and I'm kind of curious how many Daryl has, I have over 200 last time I checked. And the challenge is which ones are still good, still useful, or even what they do. Because early on when I was creating these, I just kind of did the default name. I've been using this tool for 20 something years. So I really encourage you to take advantage of, in here it's called category. To me, it's a folder. Okay, that's all it is. And you name it something you'll recognize. So here I named it to Dev Learn Learning Objectives, and that's the one I use today. These are audios that I use a bit, closed captioning, dev tools, images. I put all of my clients in one because some of those I don't reuse in other areas. But my logo, different things. Whoops, sorry. So you can set up category, and that's basically um, a new folder, and just create the folder what you want, and then add file. Now, naming and description. Um, Even if you're a part of a team, I would suggest creating guidelines for the naming to ensure it's consistent and that everyone on the team is understanding what they're for, and then add that naming guidelines to your internal style guide. Now, as far as my naming is concerned, this is where I take the organization a bit further. As you can see, within Lectora, within the library objects, they are saved alphanumeric, and that's how a lot of things are done automatically in the IT world. So how do I know what is what? Well, I like to save what it does first. As you can see, okay, so I've got buttons labeled as BTN and then a hyphen and then a detailed name, what it actually does. Now, all my buttons we can see are highlighted there. We can see they're all together, except for these two buttons way down here, because they're named by the default as help button and submit button. Okay, so what I would do is I would rename those to button help, button submit, if it was something I used over and over again. Okay. Now, where are the files kept? Because once you put them in there, sometimes it can be kind of a pain to, I need to go through and change that. How did I change it? With Lectora Online, it's easy. You just kind of right click and make the changes. Lectora Desktop, you gotta do a little digging. But this is where this next one may violate your internal company's policies on what you have access to on your own computer. So double check with them. Please don't say, well, Chris said I could do this anyway. But if you can and you aren't breaking any rules, or if you are, you're comfortable with breaking those rules, what you want to do is navigate to your C drive and make sure you can set everything up to view hidden files. From there, you're going to go to your program data, ELB Learning. If you're using an older version of Lectora, it is under eLearning Brothers, or even earlier, it's under Trivantis. The current should be ELB Learning. Then you're going to go Lectora, Media Library, Custom, and Library Objects. And from here, you're going to see all of your library objects, and then you can just right click and change the name. And I find this to be easier as far as I'm organizing, because that way I can also see, well, what did I call JavaScript? Well, JavaScript all starts with JS, HTML starts with HTML, and so forth. Okay, and these changes are visible in Lectora next time you open it. Now, can Lectora Desktop use files in the library if they're stored on a remote network drive? Not that I know of. I would download them. And that's why with a team, a lot of times we'll just send them to each other. And that way you're going to put them where the association is. So your Lectora online folder is empty. For online, if you don't have any currently saved, that would explain it. And hang on, let me open up the one I'm showing is empty. Hang on just a second. Let me go out to Lectora Online. Let me launch it. Okay, so I'm going to bring this over. Oh, yes, for you on your computer. Yes. Library objects are your own personal. It will come directly from Lectora empty. Okay, these are your personal things that you create. And that's why I was so excited when they created the shared area where we can now share it with other people, our items. If I go out here to Lectora Online, I go library objects, these are, again, the shared library objects. Well, it's just me on my team for this particular one. And so these are just ones that I brought over from the Lectora desktop. I saved my folder as a PKG or the course, and then added it. Now, great question though. I thought you all were sharing available to me. If you go back, let me go back to my PowerPoint real quick. If you go to, and again, it'll be in the instructions to this site, there are some out there that we definitely share with you, and you can tell which ones I did by my naming convention. And I'll be sharing more out. I've just been so busy. I haven't gotten more out there. But yeah, these are some that you can definitely use. Okay. And that'll come up in the follow-up how to access them. Let me go back here. So again, best organizing them, the names, the type and description. The other, oh, I already said where files are kept. So let's move on and go into, so follow-up question here. Casey has another poll for us. And that is, are you excited to use library objects? You're already using it. Oh, your pretty graphics didn't come through. She spent all this time making some cool graphics. At least I can't see it. I'm already using them. Super excited to try it. It looks cool, but I need more info. Still deciding. While that's going on, I will recap what we talked about is really what are library objects. Oh, yes. Thank you, Dominic. I didn't get that added. So you'll notice the master here. I may write the book, but my memory isn't great. In my library, if you right click on a library object, select show in Windows, explore, and then go to the LO folder. And for those who are Lectora online users, too many LOs here, you want to save that information from him. Fantastic. Where do I find them? And again, the best practices. It takes a village, and I love the Lectora village. Honestly, when I started using Lectora back in uh, whatever year that was, 2002, 2004, one of the reasons I actually fell in love with the software was the community because everybody was so willing to help, and it was just absolutely amazing. Loved it. I'm already using it, 29%, super excited to try it. Yay, looks cool, but I need more info. I'll reach out to myself, reach out to ELB. We're here to help. Still deciding. Yay, nobody said not for me right now. And whoops, let me go back. That is really it for questions, unless you have questions. I'll put that up there in case you want to reach out to me. What questions do you have? I had to turn things down because I could talk about this forever. Thoughts, comments? We have some amazing people on the call too. Anything else that Daryl and Dominic want to share?
You might have been that thorough, Chris.
Well, like I said, the video from Josh and Dominique, whoops, where is it? Oh, it's right there. It is a great video. It's very insightful. Perfect. So excited. Then we may have just given you guys some time back. And I know, as I was saying, time is valuable. Yeah, it can include JavaScript. Yeah, it can include quizzes. I love library objects. sandwich it allows me to invest time creating something knowing I can easily reuse it and not having to remember where it was that you had it. Yes, a copy of the PowerPoint will be going out. I want to update it just a tweak bit because Dominic had sent me the screen image since I don't use LO as much or have a team to share with. I couldn't remember how to do something. So I want to add that to this PowerPoint and then we'll get it out. And I believe, Casey, I'll let you explain more what happens next.
Yeah, we'll send a link of the recording. Everyone who registered and attended will get that email. It'll come probably Wednesday next week. So in that email, you'll get a link to this recording. You'll get the PowerPoint slides. I think Chris mentioned a handout too that we can include. Just all the things you'll need to really get this lesson in your cranium. Oh, I saw one more question just popped in. Did you see that one?
Let me, I hit it because I was looking at the panelist. Let's see. The Zoom.
Arshad asked, are there sample objects by the community that can be accessed or downloaded in our courses?
There are, and that is in the share file guide. They're not necessarily in the community anymore. They changed the format a while back because it just got so huge. Um, so they've changed it, and so they've created this share file site, and this is where all of those are shared now. And I need to go out and put and yes, can users share their learning objects with ELB? Definitely. And that comes in these instructions. The more we share and help each other, the better it is. All I request is making sure again you're naming those something that people know, kind of what it is before they download. So definitely. I'm not gonna say you have to use my naming convention, but I like my naming convention.
It makes good sense. Your naming conventions are good.
Oh, which I guess I can show again. There. Oops, type description there. Good.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Chris, for your Lectora wizardry. We appreciate you so much. And thank you to everyone who attended and all the good knowledge sharing happening in the chat. Another great one. Thanks, y'all. Thank y'all so much.